Hey guys, what's up? This is a solve critique video. Today I will be critiquing an average of 5 from cubing land of 14.74 using the stickerless Yan 3. Let's get right into the first solve. Alright, so your cross solution was very good. It got an X cross, which I wouldn't have seen. I don't know if you saw it, but it was very good if you did see it. So you inserted blue like that, then green and orange. And then this was very good that you were able to see, even though it was at the back slot, that you would have to do that and then do the rotationless insert. You were facing this way, so you rotated to pair them up like that. And then you rotated again to insert with your right hand. Now, personally, I would have done it this way so that I would be able to see if anything was in here. Then I would do this slot from the front. But this from the back is okay too. Then you got an OLL skip. Now for the Y perm, you did one AUF, and this should have been enough to tell you it's a Y perm, but you probably instinctively did the second AUF just to go back. So what I recommend is, first of all, from here, if you can't recognize it's a Y perm, okay, one is fine, but from here you should have been able to recognize it. So make sure that either you learn two-side PLL recognition so you don't have to do unnecessary rotations, or make sure that you are able to see this when it is here and not do the extra rotation. And then what was good here was for the AUF, use your entire hand like that, rather than regripping and then doing U, which is faster to use your entire hand, so good job. Okay, so for this solve, the first two pieces were good, red, green. Then this would have been easily set up. However, you did a U3. And not only is that two extra moves, but it kind of tells me that you didn't plan your entire cross, or you did plan it, but it wasn't a very accurately planned cross. So make sure you plan your cross more accurately so you don't have to think about it while you do your actual solve. You just think about it during inspection and then do it afterwards. Without thinking. So here you did that, saw these two. So one cool way you could do it actually is pair them up with D prime, take it out, and then put the cross back and reinsert it. But what you did is also fine. So you took it out and then did a rotation to insert it. Now again, instead of rotating, you could have done this 2-gen, which is with your left hand like that, set them up like this, and I'm sure you can see how to insert it. So you did it like this. And at this point, I would have seen this pair right away. And then after inserting this, do a U2 and go straight into this pair from the back, setting it up like that. However, you had them over here, so then you rotated first to do that. Then you rotated again, which is essentially a Y2, but slower, and then inserted it like this. Now, I'm sure you saw this corner while inserting it because you followed it over to here, which is a bad habit. What you should do first instead is look for the edge, because the edge was over here. So you could have, instead of following it over, you could have just paired them up like this. But instead, by following it, you did a Y and then another Y. Then you paired them up like this. So up to here, you should have probably inserted into the back so that your front slot's open, just in case anything you needed to find was in here. So inserting it into the back, then do this one. Instead, you inserted it into the front, which for this particular case was okay, but generally you want to have front slots open rather than back slots open. Then you did them like this, and then a back sledgehammer. Now you can see why inserting it into the front might have been better, because a front sledgehammer doesn't require regrips, but a back sledgehammer requires both of your hands to regrip and then come back. All right, so here OLL, everything's okay. And then PLL, just a slight nitpick I have is for this R perm, you started it off good, the first 4 moves. Then for the first U2, you should probably do it with your right hand. That way you alternate hands doing U2. Because if you have to do a U2 twice with the same hand, it's slower than doing one U2 with each of your hands. So probably work on switching that. All right, so the beginning of your cross solution was okay. I see that you noticed this, which was good. So here you did red and green, first of all. Now, after inserting red, you could have done a U move to have this square done. Then U2, insert orange, insert blue. That's how I would have done the cross for an X cross. However, what you did was just insert green, and then this pair became a little bit of a hassle afterwards. So I don't know why you did F. Maybe you're trying to preserve the pair, because now you did orange, and you looked down at the cross to see what you had done. So maybe you made a mistake, and I can understand that. So I'll just ignore the cross for now. So you did orange, and then here you did D2, L, D2 to insert blue, and we'll move on to first pair. So you did that, which is good. Now I probably would have seen this first, but maybe I think you did some U moves before realizing it was this that you wanted to do. So you did it like this, which is good. Then here I probably would have inserted into the front so that the right side's open, but that's not really a big deal. However, if you are dominant right-handed, then I think it's better to have the right side open. So you did this, which did work out because you got to see this more easily. Now at this point, you definitely should have rotated this way instead of rotating this way, because now you have back slot open rather than a front slot open. So between left and right, it kind of doesn't matter, but between front and back, you really'd rather have front slots open. So you did this, and then you got this case. Now this was easy to see from the back, but what you did was a Y2 and then did like that. So you should have done it from the back like this. So make sure you know your F2L cases from the back as well. All right, but just a cool trick I want to show you is if you have a dot case and you're trying to prevent a dot OLL, then what you can do here actually is 2 sledgehammers like that. All right, so anyway, you did this, and then OLL, and then the R perm, you did it a little bit differently. Now here, earlier I said alternating U2s is good, but here since you started it like this, if you would rather start the algorithm like that to avoid a regrip, then I can see how U2s with only left hand would be better. That way you don't, because it's impossible to do a U2 with your right hand from that angle. So what you'll notice about this cross actually, I don't like a cross solution just because if you had done a U prime, you probably see how obvious this cross is now. Red here, green here, and blue and orange can go in together. So just by seeing that red and green will go in red left of green like that, then you should have been able to notice that you can just move them over like that. Then this one just sets itself up. But anyway, you did red here and then blue. Now, if you had to do it this way, at this point, I would not recommend rotating this way because you have to do this into the back, which is a little bit hard to do. And you'll notice you ended up with a really weird rotation because of it. So I recommend doing this into the front. Okay, anyway, so you didn't see this pair, but it's good that you knew how to pair these up together like that. And then you just undid it, did this one. And miraculously, these two ended up pairing together, but you didn't notice because you were worried about these two, so that's totally understandable. You went into these two, that's good look ahead. Then you did these two. Then for these, the way you inserted it, since you didn't do partial edge control with it, I would suggest instead inserting it like this, which accomplishes the same thing, and then you have the same case as before. So you can just do it like that. So anyway, you did this. Insert it, and make sure you can recognize your OLLs without rotating, because you did this first before realizing that that was the wrong way, and then you went this way. So then you did the OLL. Then PLL, same thing. It's a little bit harder to recognize PLLs without rotating, so you can learn two-side PLL recognition, which I think would help you a lot, because for this specific G-perm, you really did not need to do all those rotations. So just a quick tip, if you see a 2x1 block only, then if these two stickers match, then it's a G-perm. It's exactly which G-perm you think it is. And then if these two stickers don't match, then it's a Y-perm. So that's just a quick tip here. So this one must have been a G-perm. And then I really like the G-perm algorithm you used, which is the same one Drew Brads uses. And if you don't know the video, for those of you watching, then I'll link it in the description. All right, so the first thing you should have done was spend a few months learning to be color neutral and then do the green cross. No, I'm just kidding. The blue cross is much better. Okay, but jokes aside, in all honesty, you don't need to be color neutral to be fast. All right, I just noticed that we had two very good crosses here. All right, so what you did was green first, and then before inserting red, you did D prime to set it up, and then U2 to set up orange, which was a very good move there. Then you did blue like that, D, and then did orange. All right, so you saw this one and this one over here. So you did that one first while looking ahead to these two. That's good. And then you did these two. Now here's something you could have done a little bit better. I saw you rotate, so you must have seen this pair before starting it. So what you can do is, since they need to be a split pair, as in it needs to end up being like this or like this, not a together pair, then you can hide the edge instead of hiding the corner. So that can set it up, which is a faster way to do it. But what you did was a U2 first, and then you set them up like this, which is quite an awkward finger trick. So that's why I recommend hiding the edge in that case instead, because the edge was already over here. Then you inserted it, then you did these two into the front. Then I recommend a different OLL algorithm for this case, because you did F sexy and then rotate L prime, and then F sexy F prime. So what I recommend here is come to this angle and then do M prime with your left hand, like that, and then do back soon, and then U prime, M like this. Okay, and then for PLL, you got an A perm. So I think your A perm was fine, but I didn't see you AUF afterwards. I think you stopped the timer and didn't AUF by accident. But in this case, this is a tough AUF to do. And since I haven't seen you do it, I'll just show you how I would recommend doing it. So after the A perm, you should either hold the top like this and turn the bottom two layers, or you should keep your hands where they are and do this reverse move. So let me just show you the one I do, which is this reverse move. So A perm and to U prime AUF. So before we finish this critique video, I want to go over some of your strengths and some of your areas for improvement that I think are the most important. First of all, when you have your cross well planned out, I think you have a very good cross to F2L transition. You normally know what your first pair is going to be. However, you mess up your cross sometimes, but when you don't mess up your cross, I do see this as one of your strengths. You also have very few pauses during F2L, so even if you are doing some unnecessary turns, you aren't pausing, which means your look ahead in general is pretty good. You also have well-practiced algorithms. I don't see you pausing or messing up during your OLL or PLL algorithms. You also have very good finger tricks. I see you doing U2 and D2 flicks, which a lot of people neglect to do, so very good job for having good finger tricks. I found that just looking at your solves, they look very smooth, which is a product of having good finger tricks and from having good look ahead. All right, now for areas of improvement. Number one is, since it happened a few times during these solves, but I don't know if it happens to you in general, make sure you don't mess up the cross. So sometimes there might be multiple cross solutions that you can choose between, and you don't know which one to do. Normally just pick the one that's simpler, that you're less likely to mess up. At least that's what I do, because sometimes two cross solutions are not that different in terms of execution time, but one of them, the simpler one, tends to be the one that's easier to look ahead through and the one that's easier to not mess up on. And then probably the most important thing during F2L here is to make sure you have open front slots. So let's just take a look at this case. So this is something you could get. Meanwhile, if you had seen it from the back, then it is a lot harder to see what you have here, especially because you have no idea what these two are. So in order to have open front slots, that might mean you have to do some inserts into the back. So let's say your last one was this one and you're holding it like this. So instead of doing this to insert it into the front, you could instead rotate this way to insert it into the back. Then you have a lot of easy things to do here afterwards. I think you can improve your OLL and PLL recognition a bit as well, because when you get to OLL, PLL, you tend to do some unnecessary U-turns, but that's just a slight thing. It's not really much of a weakness. It's just something you may improve on over time. And the last thing I want to mention is better OLL algorithms. So one thing that I saw was the F sexy F prime, rotate F sexy F prime. That one was not a very good algorithm, and I gave you a suggestion for an alternative. But one I forgot to mention was when you got this case. But the algorithm that I use for this is fat soon, and then back fat soon. So thank you for sending me your solves to critique. I hope you can see from the areas of improvement what you should work on next. And I hope everyone was able to learn something from this video. If you have any questions, you can leave it in the comments as usual. Leave any video suggestions. And if you would like me to look at your solves, you can like my Facebook page and message me from there. See you next time.